What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again, coming at you with another Summoner's War video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a Nat 5 that I believe is underrated and overlooked, and is one of the units that you probably will build at the end of this video. So I want to give a big shout out to the Thevelynn, aka Eve, who's on board right now on the call. He's going to be helping us out and showcasing us some gameplay and telling us the three main reasons why you definitely want to be utilizing this unit in your arsenal. Eve, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Hey man, I've been doing pretty good, had a good time. Been getting a lot of achievements out the way recently. Got top
Yeah,
10 bro. My
yeah,
first time post server merge, which
there you
is a
go.
lot tougher than before
And that is
because of Delphoy.
right, and that is a pretty crazy. That's amazing accomplishment because unlike a lot of the people out there in the top 10, you are in fact free to play, and you've just been grinding your way out, day in and day out. So you've been able to kind of say that, hey, despite the amount of the lack of money that you've used versus somebody else, right? You can get it done, and there's no excuse, right? You just put in the hard work, and
Mm-hmm.
you get there. So.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you just gotta find those monsters that are a little under the radar and find your use for them.
Delphoi, a unit that I had no idea was even existed in the game, but after talking with you for literally 10 minutes and take a look at the unit here, I was like, I'm actually very, very excited to build it. So I'm actually going to just kind of let you take the reins here, talk about it, a little bit about the skills, and basically those three main things as to why you feel like this unit is just a home run.
Yeah, definitely. So, nothing special on her first ability, the basic attack, just regular. But the second ability used to be 4 mana, but the change actually put it to 3. So it's a shorter cooldown, and they kept the important part. It strips everything. It's okay she lost the branding, but the fact that you have a 3 mana full strip is so useful against Orbeez and Cleaves. Whenever they get that low HP passive, you got to figure out a way to get rid of that,
Right, right, right.
and that's perfect for it, as well as other things. Immunity is very popular in the meta, and one of the big ones here, especially for me as a DPS Kino main, I'm very squishy. The second ability is 3 mana immunity with defense up. The wording's a little tricky. Uh, at first, I thought that you needed to remove defense down. No, you just get defense up as long as you don't have too much defense down. So at the beginning of the match, you could very first turn get the defense up, get your immunity, and it's tough to kill you. If you don't have any strips and you're against a Delphoi, you won't break through very easily.
Right, right, right. I was gonna say, like, when I first
Hmm.
looked at this unit, I really didn't think it was all too strong. But then when I think about some teams out there, like the Orbia players utilizing the Galleons, like this is one of those skills that essentially kind of gets right in line with it, having a 3 mana cost, and now can protect you from, basically getting gassed out by a high amount of DPS right from the get go.
Yeah. The duration is short for an immunity, but the uptime's still fairly high.
Right.
And if you want, you could always use it when you're in a sitch, on your own with Soul Link. It's very consistent when you have certain cooldown reducing monsters too. You can
Mhm.
just constantly keep your immunity up, which is very important.
Gotcha. And so take a look at this unit. What are those three big like tips you want to take home or give to the community as to why like you feel like this unit's just like a S tier kind of unit?
All right. So I would say the main primary one is I love having her on Soul Link at the beginning of a brawl match because getting that immunity and that defense up, you get time for your other monsters to do their first rotation of abilities. Because, with the meta, a lot of people are blowing you up in the first few seconds of the fight. It's terrifying. So many Orbeez with all this damage.
Right.
But it really helps counteract that. So you actually get time to set up your um, monsters with what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say that's the main reason. The second primary reason, like I was mentioning earlier, the strip, it's just beautiful against, there's so many Cleaves and Orbeez in the meta. It's so good at just taking them out once you get them low finally, because it's a cheap ability. Sometimes when you get them down low, you had to use your abilities to get there. Then
Yep.
you don't have the mana to strip them, and, it could be rough.
Right.
And I would say, thirdly, it's just the consistency from the short cooldowns. You're just constantly pumping out all of these abilities nonstop. really something special when you have something like a Tion or a Galleon helping out with cooldowns.
Sure. Yeah, I bet. And if I recall correctly,
Mm,
this is a unit that you constantly change in and change out between your Soul Link. You start out with this one to get that quick, defense and immunity. Then you'll switch out with another unit like maybe Tion or something else to essentially do what you need to do and, kind of rotate the cooldowns again a little bit more.
yeah. She also something notable, her immunity, she's the only monster with a 3 mana immunity. I think everything else is like 4 or 5 mana.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that as well. So that's extremely important. First one here is going to be a match versus High NIV2 here. So I'll go ahead and start the gameplay. I'm going to have the audio off for the time being. I just want to kind of tell us maybe your thought process and what you kind of have going on here.
Yeah, definitely. So my opponent has seen me a lot. They banned the Tion because they know how good is with Delphoi. And I realized that I needed some survivability. I need some healing since I don't have Tion, so I kept that Camilla. And of course, I always keep the Delphoi on Soul Link right here so I could get that immunity rallied out. And look at that. He tried knocking me back, couldn't do anything. Tried doing some debuffs, couldn't do it. He does have that Espino and Lima who are just dishing out tons of little strips, but it's not AoE strip. So
Right.
at least I could functionally deal with it somewhat. And as you see, my monsters got their abilities out. I got my rotation. And Delphoi, it's just so tough for them to break my Kina. The Kina, by the way, is very squishy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of deceptive. Like, these players hurt a lot.
Right.
But even though she's squishy, Delphoi doesn't care.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like overall, I mean, there was kind of a small scare part there, but it was nothing that you couldn't, get back, and maintain and whatnot here. Take a look at this particular composition. Was it important for you to go for the Espino first, or was it just like,
Yeah,
yeah?
because he's really consistent at getting the strips out, again and again and again. So I kind of wanted to make sure he was out of the way quickly. Lima does strip, but hers is 4 mana. It's not going to come out too often.
Right.
It's definitely a threat, but at least I could deal with it a bit easier.
Yeah, very cool. And
And yeah, it's just taking them out slowly, honestly, a lot of the time.
yeah, is there any like as far as like going up against like cleaves or whatnot, maybe getting provoked or whatnot? Do you really have to deal with anything because of the fact that you're getting that immunity up so quick? Is that
Yeah, the beauty of that immunity is it's just always going out. I don't really have to deal with a lot of those things unless if my opponent figures out some good ways of countering it,
yeah?
which we could get into that soon in some of these future fights with the multiple strippers or AoE strippers, such as all of the oracles,
Yeah.
Tiana, Chiwu. We got that new one, Soha,
So
the
yep, so
Wadding Nine Tails.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fun stuff. So it looks like you're able to take it down, no problems there, and literally zero issues at all. Just nice, slow, and steady here. Now this one
Yeah.
that we got going on here, this one's going to be a match versus Archer, which again is a top PvP player on our server. He's actually a member of the guild that I'm currently in, Air. So super excited to share share this moment with you guys here. Now
This
you
is intense.
pretty into, yeah, I was gonna say there wasn't really too much to showcase here as far as the overall setup. I'm trying to pause it, so I'm gonna pause it right here so
For
we
the
can take a
draft.
look at take a look at the stuff here. So again, Archer, again, one of the top players in PvP. I know this is gonna be kind of hard because you already did this kind of this match, whatnot. But kind of, can you tell us a little bit about your thought process? I really think the community would like to know kind of what's going on here, and essentially what was your thought process going in. It looks like he almost understood what you're trying to do, and even maybe took your
Yeah,
Tion.
he did
Um,
actually, yeah.
yeah,
So Archer is one of these players. When you're in the top end of Brawl, you kind of get familiar with the players, and so I recognize that he's been trying Delphoy some. He understands that's been under the radar, so I took that early from him, and he also knows that I love having the Tion with it, so he took that immediately, which honestly kind of scared me. But I made sure to keep it up, got my cooldown reducing with Galleon, and just started picking some of my strong units, of course. I'm very fortunate to have the Light Monkey, the Bearing, the Veramos. They're all very strong.
right.
But yeah, so he ended up banning, if I recall correctly, Bearing, because it's very OP. It's my only strip that I've got apart from the Delphoi here. So I made sure, as long as I have my my cooldown reducer and my Delphoi, I should be tanky enough as Kina.
Yeah.
And I ban out the strips always, so that's why I got rid of Juno, because she's got the AoE strip constantly coming out. Yeah, and make sure, of course, never forget to have the Delphoi on Soul Link.
Right. Good deal. Good deal. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens here. Oh, so one of the things I think we'll make for a different video as well is talking about the Kina on the side here. I believe you said you got to set it up in a DPS fashion. So
Yeah.
putting out some numbers here. So
Yeah, I've seen some other DPS Kinas, like a player named Zilla88. They have a very interesting DPS Kina. It's just like mine, but actually just stronger. Higher damage, higher tankiness. It's scary.
Kind of crazy
Yeah,
how quickly you took that archer's main cleave down there. What was the main damage there? How you get that done?
A lot of that was because the Galleon, attack up and defense break, as well as the Light Monkey. He applies roots very consistently, which kind of counteracts the dashes coming out from cleave.
Oh, sure.
They can't use those.
Yeah, I was actually surprised as to how quickly that went down.
And an important thing to note for that fight was I got the strip out. I was ready for that cleave passive. I was saving it, and I got that strip out immediately once I saw it.
Yep, nice, very nice indeed. This next match here is going to be against another guild member. Oh man, these guys are going to be like, "What in the world, bro? You're showing all these matches?" Oh dear. So again, Y Customer G. Obviously, I'm a good friend, known him for years now. He's one of the people that were instrumental in getting me, over to the Air family. Obviously a top end player on the global side, on the NA side. So again, I haven't seen this match. Excited to see what's going on here. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So this one I accidentally AFK'd. I did not ban the light weapon. Usually I do that because the strip is terrifying for the Delphoi. So this is kind of showcasing an example of how you could counteract those Delphois that you see when you're going up against them. He's got the light weapon. I believe the Ethna has a steal as well, which is essentially a strip in a way. And yeah, it's not a great match for me. Sometimes I do actually manage to beat this player, but they're very strong. It's difficult.
Yeah, and without question, he's like I said, he's one of the strongest players on the server. I've seen his account. It's actually disgusting how good some of his units are. Some of the members out there in the community of Air, they're just really, really strong players. And it's cool that, like I said, I want to give you props here. Most people, when we're, making content and, showcasing gameplay for the community, they're so quick to cherry pick the match and show every single win and whatnot. But you actually show a loss. You show why not only is, Delphoi good, but, if you were seeing Delphoi in the mix here, because now maybe it's, the Pandora box has been open, this is how you would counter it, and Y Cosmo demonstrated a really good way of, kind of going about it if you got these units and can do this play style. So really cool match here.
When the player is going up against Delphoi and they have single target strips, kind of like the Ethna here with the steel, you do have to be a little methodical about it. You have to time what you're gonna do. Suppose you're Dark Orbia, you want to get that unrecoverable out, so you strip and you save the unrecoverable for right after the strip.
Very cool.
Because Delphoi with that 3 mana ability, sometimes you just strip it comes right back.
Yeah, indeed.
It's a short time frame.
Looks like this next one that we got going on here is going to be Momentai. No. I don't think I've seen.
It's actually my guild leader.
Oh, there we go. I was gonna say I don't think I've seen any matches here from him versus people in the air showcasing it. But oh my gosh, this guy's such a baller. He called his guild the same name as him. Oh man, that's.
So you see, he's got 2 of those oracles. The oracles are great for countering Delphoi because they both have multiple strips.
Right.
And yeah, they made sure to time, as I was saying, that third ability on Dark Orbia right after they strip right here.
Jeez.
They apply all of those debuffs.
That is disgusting. And what are those? What are those 2 light units that he got? Rock. You said he got that's Lima there, and what was the other one?
Oh yeah, Lima and Praha.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I couldn't even tell.
Actually, just today taught me something about Praha that I didn't know. I didn't know Praha won't sleep herself when she has immunity. So I'm kind of thinking about trying out some of my comps with Delphoi, including the Praha.
And truthfully, that's how it should be, right? If she has some kind of immunity to protect her, she shouldn't be getting stopped. Similar to
Mhm.
Sky Arena, if you have, her on a will set and you do her third skill and that's supposed to put her to sleep, if you got will, you're not going to get slept. So it should, I believe it should be that way.
Yeah, there's some units I'm really theory crafting I think are going to be very strong with this comp. The baseline for my Kina at least is the Tion with the Delphoi.
Hmm.
Super consistent. I've been trying to think of good thirds, and if anybody out there wants to try it, the Praha I'm thinking might be really solid. You get that immunity out before the sleep, then she gets it out. The Tion helps get that 5 mana sleep out from the Praha a little early, you
Hmm.
know? I think Chiwu with his full AoE full AoE strip will be really solid as well. Get a little bit of damage out.
And real quick here, I must be missing it. I just want to go back to that match with Momentai. Um, it's the Lima here that's where are all these harmful effects coming from? Because is he using Dark Orbia or is that Light Orbia? Where is he getting all those harmful
That's
effects?
Dark Orbia, yeah. Dark
Oh,
Orbia probably gets about 3 or 4 of those
there you go.
out. Yeah, and
Oh,
then Frostbite from Praha. I think
that's
Bleed
right.
from Lima.
Okay.
Defense Break from Galleon. It's a
Yep.
whole lot.
Yep. I missed the Dark Orbit. That makes sense now. That makes sense. Okay. This next
Mhm.
one here doesn't look like we'll be able to see, what their lineup is, but you got Buster that you were talking about here. So Buster again from the
Yeah.
Air community.
I actually left Buster's Elenoa up. I didn't ban it. I banned Juno against them because the Juno is terrifying when I'm planning on using the Delphoi game plan. I need to get rid of that consistent strip, otherwise I'm going to have a problem, you know? So I banned that, left the Elenoa up, and they actually banned their own Elenoa. And this is a very strong player as well,
Yeah.
also from Error, I believe.
Yep. Yep. He's from Air. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. You literally got the majority of the matches from our guilders. So again, I'll be curious to see what their feedback is on these matches are. But yeah, no, I'm actually it's quite crazy here. What do you think was like
Yeah.
the part that kind of led you to taking this victory here? What was the big thing?
Um, So a big part of his comp is he's trying to get that unrecoverable out from the fire weapon. It's a hard counter to Kina, of course. And
Right.
they really want to burst me down with that Ethna and that Genos. And so I make sure I accidentally started Soul Link on Galleon. I swapped that over when I noticed immediately because I want to get that immunity up. I don't want to be unrecovered.
Right.
And yeah, essentially from that point, I just have to watch what they're gonna strip from the Ethna, which unit gets that. I need to make sure to avoid my summoner dying to the Ethna in particular.
Okay.
Walk away from whatever the strip target is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the bonuses to versing independent, like single strips instead of AoE or multi-strip is I can kind of play around it some.
Gotcha. Now you made a comment about this particular unit being pretty instrumental for you as a Kina player. Maybe it's gonna give you your own personal like take on Delphoi, maybe as a Cleaf user, Orbia user. Is this something that you think would work with those other summoners, or is this something that's probably a little bit stronger for a Kina player per se?
I think it's definitely excelling a lot for Kina. Has a lot of synergy with her because naturally, with all those heals Kina's dishing out, you're gonna have a better time. But I've seen some people have decent success with Delphoi on Orbi and Cleave. I've seen some of the higher end players testing around with it, so evidently, it's something worth trying at the very least. I
Right.
can't say for sure how good it is on Orbi and Cleave because I don't actually play those in PvP, but at the very worst, it's not bad. I definitely think it's got some potential there.
Right. And I was gonna say
Um,
too, I think I've seen a lot of players, I don't know if it's still like super meta right now, but I've seen a lot of players kind of go with like the slow and steady, super tanky units and whatnot. And I was talking to you a little bit prior to about, the strength of Aereo and how, him being based on defense, combined alongside a unit like Delphoy could like make him,
yeah.
outrageously disgusting, hard to take down, providing even more heals over time. Could you see some kind of a Camilla Ariel Delphoy comp, or do you think that because you have so much sustain between those two main units that you really need a strong DPS to kind of go with it?
If you have some insane summoner, honestly, just triple support like that might do a solid. I've seen some people do some serious work. But as far as the aerial, I, as Kina, wanted the Camilla passive so I could live without getting bursted immediately. But on the other summoners, it sounds sweet, honestly.
Yeah,
Having that huge extra heal, 2 heal options even, I think that would be a beautiful combo.
gotcha.
Definitely worth trying out for some of the other players using these other summoners.
Right. And with regards to, Ethnas out there, especially since you're part of the free to play community, free to play players are going to obviously have a limited amount of Devamon when utilized and whatnot. Would you like obviously recommend, being one of these units to max it if you're looking to like, incorporate this into your lineup, or do you think this is a unit that maybe a free to play player can kind of get away with on low cooldown, or what do you think on
I
that?
think if they're a fairly well established free to play player and they could like moderately afford to, you know, maybe restore one of their monsters, or if they have some extra Devilmon laying around, it's definitely worth checking out.
Okay.
But if you're like on the struggle with that Devilmon life, it's okay. You don't have to full on force it because it's mainly just for PvP anyhow.
Yeah.
And honestly, you got to kind of get to late game if you really want to compete with those higher ranks.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not really happy about that question because I've known, for a very long time that you're not going to be able to see the true potential of until you invest in it completely. And if you're trying to be competitive at this stage of the game, obviously it's extremely important here. So I didn't know if this is some of the units out there, the changes that you have between the cooldowns and the elongation of like the immunity whatnot. I didn't know if it was like super instrumental, because at the end of the day, the goal for this unit, for a lot of people out there, is just to basically get that immunity off right from the get-go. And regardless if you max it out in skills, you're still going to have that 3 minute cost, which is what is like instrumental in protecting you early on. And that might be the reason why you win the match here. That might make or break you. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was just like, oh man, maybe if you max it out, you get that little bit more immunity to keep you alive and reduce that cooldown, or if it was like no man, you if you don't max this out, you're not going to see not going to see the true value. So
Yeah, if you don't max out, you definitely won't see the full potential at all. But once you do, man, when you're against players like Archer here, he's one of the strongest people on the server. But
yeah,
he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have any strips on his team, so you just can't do anything about it.
yeah,
And it's kind of crazy how this unit alone is managing to carry against him. Like his summoner, his monsters, insane,
yeah.
super high power,
Yeah.
and good player too, of course.
No, of yeah, definitely, without question, a very good player here. So, yeah, man, pretty good showcases here. Like I said, I love to see the back and forth. Some wins here, some losses here. Any other tips, tricks, or any other like feedback you want to provide the community with regards to Delphoi that they can utilize for their PvP teams?
Well, first off, I kind of wanted to mention since we're talking about the free-to-play community, one beautiful system in this game is the restore stones. They're giving them out like crazy compared to
Mhm.
the past, so it's not too scary. If you want to try her out, don't be too afraid to build her. You could always just restore her if you didn't change your mind.
That sounds
Um,
good. I think that's the beauty
and
for myself too as well. I'm also like testing out units for like content and whatnot, and because we get so many of them,
mm,
we can reset them and go with the flow there. So,
yeah.
but yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say there at the very end?
Yeah, I love the restore system. It's really nice. And as far as tips inside the game, uh, I would say definitely always remember keep her on that soul link at the start. You want to get your full rotation of abilities out. That's one of the biggest parts about her, I think, personally. And if you have any of those cooldown reducing monsters, I would swap to that afterwards personally, because once you start spamming those up, she'll just keep everything upkeeped, She'll be spamming those strips, keeping your immunity permanent. I'd say those are some of the main parts about her. Apart from that, you just kind of want to make sure to watch for those buffs that your opponent has. Like this player has the Lima, they've got that invincibility. Make sure you're always on your toes, ready to strip things.
Yeah, very, very nice indeed. Cool, cool, cool. Sounds good. Well, again, I want to give a shout out to you one more time for coming on board and connect with me on this collaboration. I think we're gonna have a lot of people out there that are gonna be they're gonna be mixing it up and be like, wow, I don't know why in the world did I not build this unit. So again, fam, if you guys don't know, Eve is a content creator. He does do some streaming on Twitch. I'm gonna leave his link in the description down below if you guys want to go ahead and check him out. Do me a favor, show your support that you've been showing me over the last 9 years. So if you want to give him a
Thank
follow.
you.
I would greatly appreciate it. I got to do it, man. I mean, like I said before, and I'll say it again, you and your brother, Baker's Kids Band, that you guys have been super instrumental in providing just overall knowledge in the game. Some of the people out there, when they find out those little tips and tricks, you know, they're really keen to keep it to themselves so they can have an edge. And Bakers and you have never been like that. You've always been super gracious to help people out here, regardless if it hurts you at the end when it comes to, you know, being able to counter you or not PvP. So it's very, very nice that you're doing that for your community. And so without question, we got to share the love, pay it forward, and try to give you a couple of subs here, boss.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I haven't been streaming too much lately, but I definitely plan to do it a lot. I just have bad internet lately. It's been getting throttled.
Well,
But once I'm back on it, I'm gonna be going at it consistently.
it's not that you have bad internet. It's called free to play internet. You gotta start swiping, do a little pay to win action, and you'll start getting some better of that. You get some of that G3 internet that some of these players in Air have, and then you'll be fine. You'll be fine. No lag. It's guaranteed. You'll be good to go. Okay. Get those dubs.
Very true, very true.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you guys enjoy this content in any way, shape, or form, you all know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys all in the next one. Take care.